The Cavalry is a belt-driven 2-in-1 board from OMW. This board has been around for a little while now, but has had a few changes recently, such as trucks and grip tape updates. Let's dive into what this board offers. Here's a look at the specs. The Cavalry comes equipped with Samsung 50S cells, giving a total of 864 watt-hours. I'm a fan of 50S cells, and being 850 plus in watt-hour capacity gives us a good amount of battery to work with. The deck on this is fairly large at being 44.5 inches in length and a width of 11 inches at its widest and just under 9.5 at its narrowest. I consider it a large deck since I need to reposition my feet for turning. My feet also don't overhang if planted center on the deck. Concave is fair, with it being more pronounced on the ends. Overall, its shape is nothing too weird and good for those who like big decks. The handle which needs to be installed, is placed on the front. It does its job at being a good grab point. For the rear, there is only the motor guard to grab from, which is kinda awkward. I kinda wish there was a handle for the rear as well, because if you grab from the front, the motor guards will drag depending on the wheel you have installed. A red tail light is visible for when you hit the brakes. It sits up high, mounted on the rear base plate. It's bright enough for night, it may be harder to see in the daytime. On the bottom of the front of the deck is this plug sticking out from the battery enclosure. This is for if you buy their optional front headlights, which are sold separately. I didn't get the headlights, but I might later down the road. One of the things that makes the Cavalry unique is how you can customize your board. There are 3 different flex amounts you can choose from based on your weight. I went with the medium flex, which is where my weight is, and is definitely a good amount of flex to it. More than I expected. So I would recommend using their weight suggestion for the level of flex you choose. In addition to all that, you can custom select colors for your trucks, base plates, and motor guards. I wanted to keep mine less fruity, so I stuck with the default silver look. But this is great for those that want to add some color to their board. I feel like the one thing missing would be different grip tapes to choose from, but this amount of customization is uncommon in itself. The Cavalry has a very simple and elegant design to it. The Cavalry logo is on the front base plate and OMW is on the rear. The grip tape has been updated to this white on black horse style design, which I think looks okay. Your feet are planted in the black area, so it won't show dirt and mud as much. Underneath, it's a fairly basic enclosure shape, not much going on here. The trucks look very beautiful if you went with the default silver with the OMW logo imprinted on them. So overall, the board will look very similar to other 2-in-1s, but this has pretty good aesthetics. By default, the Cavalry is equipped with DKP trucks. They are surprisingly stable with the default bushings. They never wobbled on me or caused any stability issues. The turn radius is superb, but I prefer using TKPs, which is what I used throughout most of my time riding. The process of changing from DKP to TKP requires the TKP base plates, which are an add-on you can buy. It's not too difficult and you end up using the same hangers. OMW has a good descriptive video on how to change them, so I will leave a link to that in the description. One small note, the front Cavalry logo is glued to the base plate, so you will need to pry that off and move it to the new one. There's 3 different wheel options to choose from that is offered for the Cavalry. The first are these 7-inch pneumatic tires mounted on these alloy wheels. It's a good option for all-terrain riding. They work pretty good off-roading on dirt and grass. An added bonus of these alloy wheels reflects light on the ground. The 105s are probably my favorite street wheel to this day. Putting them on the Cavalry puts the board very low. If you haven't used 105 Mad Wheels before, this is a great application for them. Very responsive, good traction, and decent bump absorption. Unfortunately, because these are so low, this alters your ability to pull by the front handle significantly, as the motor guards will now collide with the ground at a much lower angle. The last wheel option is the 125 Mad Max wheels. I had very high expectations for the 125s, being that they are essentially just a larger version of the 105s. They also look great when mounted on the Cavalry. However, I must sadly say that these are my least favorite of the three. My main complaint is these seem to slide like crazy. Sidewalk bumps, asphalt particles, or even concrete bumps like this one causes the tires to lose traction on a turning motion. Because of this, my confidence was very low with the 125s. They never felt stable, keeping me always paranoid of a slip. There are a few advantages with them though. They actually do pretty good in the grass. They also did fairly well on these dirt trails. Not as good as the pneumatics, but still not bad. One other positive of these wheels is they seem to offer very good free roll, giving the best range, which I will talk about in the range section. I always prefer having traction in my wheels, but if you want something that slides, then the 125s would be a good choice over the 105s. My recommendation is to just get the 105s and the 7-inch pneumatics, since that's the best of both worlds, and skip the 125s entirely. The brakes are a little strange in their execution. It seems unable to come to a full stop until a second or two after holding the brake 100%. I've played with the braking settings, but I can't seem to change this behavior. This is probably my biggest complaint with the Cavalry. There's pretty good power coming out of this 12S 4-piece setup. It's only in a 12S setup, but it's still impressive. Usual voltage sag will occur at 3 bars and below. There's more powerful boards out there like my Velar, but still enough here for most people. Doing a hill climb test, I found this short slope that's almost a 10-degree incline. Let's see what happens. Acceleration continued steadily during the climb, and at the top it reached 25 miles per hour. Not bad at all. This is a fairly heavy board coming in at 38.5 pounds, but not surprising given the 864 watt-hour battery. You'll mostly want to carry by the handle, but if you're using the 105s, it's going to be very difficult to move the board around, and you'll need to grab by the rear motor guard. It's not ideal to pick up and side carry, but still possible when necessary. The charger that comes with the Cavalry is a fairly decent sized block, weighing in at 2 pounds and 5 ounces. This is a 6 amp charger which can charge it from empty to full in roughly under 4 hours. The remote is the same generic Hobbywing remote that most e-skates use, nothing that special here. There's 4 different speed modes, roller on top for throttle and braking. You can also use the 2 app to customize it further. Here's the range tests for each wheel being used. My weight is 176 pounds, the temperature was 60 to 70 degrees, and these all took place on the same paths running the board to 0 bars. The 7-inch tires ended in 23.4 miles, which is more or less what I expected. The 105s made it only 27.5 miles, but this was on a windy day. These should probably go much farther. And most notably, the 125s made it 37.1 miles, thanks to that impressive free roll they have. The price for the Cavalry at the time of this video is at under $1,400 if you just get the 7-inch tires, but goes up from there as you add in more options such as the TKP base plate or the color customization. Pretty good options available without being too expensive. The Cavalry overall is a solid board following a standard 2-in-1 format. It offers different flex options, color customization, and the option to switch from DKP to TKP. While the braking issue is annoying, it is adaptable. I would also recommend to reach out to OMW support before ordering because some of their items might ship from China instead of their US or EU warehouses. They do appear to have good communication when it comes to answering questions. My main suggestion would be to avoid the 125s and just get the 7-inch tires plus the 105 Mad Wheels combo instead. Thank you again for watching. Until next time.